Hey guys, Editing Rachel and Mr. Draco here. I realized as I was editing that this video is actually coming out on my birthday, and here I am working on garden stuff, which honestly is exactly what I want to be doing. I want to be doing stuff in the garden all the time, and especially on my birthday. Anyways, me and Draco really hope that you enjoy this garden tour. So it has been raining all day, and I'm out here trying to make sure I get you guys your garden tour on time. Right now it's feeling kind of calm, but if there ends up being a little bit of windiness, I'm going to go ahead and apologize for that ahead of time because I know that there's been a lot of wind lately. Also, I talk with my hands, so I'm going to be making a lot of these noises. Hopefully that doesn't come over too terrible on the mic. Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. For those who are new, I am in South Carolina. I am in the upstate, and I do a garden tour for you guys every single Wednesday with the hopes that I can show you guys what a real garden looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but also the failures, and take that opportunity to talk about how I'm getting past those failures and how I'm trying again and changing things up, and hopefully you can learn from that. I didn't even put on socks with these boots, so hopefully it doesn't start raining again. I'm gonna start out where I always do, on this sidewalk side of the garden. Yes, there is a sidewalk here now. I actually uncovered that. It was entirely covered in weeds and grass. And over here I have onions and fava beans. Oh, wait for the wind. So I can tell that the fava beans are really not liking this warmer weather. You can see they're not looking so hot. And I'm starting to see these black dots all over everything. I'm not sure if that is like some sort of mold. They're pretty rough. So I'm not sure. If you recognize this, go ahead and let me know. But the leaves, not looking happy. And it is probably far past time to take these guys out. I mean, look at this one down here. It is really sad looking. And actually, today, if it wasn't raining, I was going to put in my tomatoes, and it would have been even better if I had put them in yesterday, but I was busy yesterday. If you didn't know, it's kind of a nice hack. If you plant something right before a few days of rain, you don't have to water it in. Instead of Kata, it's Draco out here in the garden with me today. I think I told you guys this thing would double next time you saw it, and it appears I was right. This thing is growing real fast. I haven't noticed it trying to spread out yet though, which is kind of convenient, but kind of also not, because I really would like for it to spread out and fill in some of this area by the sidewalk. And then once it fills out that area, I'm gonna definitely have my work cut out for me keeping it back from everywhere else that I don't want it to be. Alright, so let's take a look here at the onions and garlic. First of all, I have a few little basils planted in here, and those are looking alright. They are getting chewed on, but I think they are okay, and I think they're gonna pull through. Right here in front, we also have a radish going to seed. It is starting to make little pods. And this cabbage that got eaten by the groundhog, it's actually starting to make a bunch of little baby cabbages. So that's actually kind of neat. I'm gonna keep doing its thing until I absolutely have to take it out, just to kind of show you guys what happens, because I don't know what happens, and I'd really like to see too. So all the peppers in here are looking really great since the transplant. They've been putting on flowers, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get some fruit soon. Not to mention the onions are almost done, and some of them are actually kind of monster sized. I'm going to walk you guys all the way down to the end where the biggest one is. I don't even know if it's going to come across on camera how big this onion is. This is it right here. I'm going to put my hand next to it so you can see. Look at that monster. And it's not even done growing yet. It hasn't flopped over at all. And it hasn't gone to seed, which is wild. Like this one next to it has started trying to go to seed. You can tell I took the flowering tip off, but this center stalk, it's firm. Like these are hollow and easy to squish. This is firm and it bulbs out here in the middle, and that's how you know it's a flower stalk before you even see the tip of the flower. And that onion's going to be fine for me to use. It's just not going to store very well, so I'm going to have to either cut it up and dehydrate it pretty fast, or eat it pretty fast, or just do something with it. But it will not store as a fresh onion once it has tried to go to seed. No matter how soon you catch it and pull that flower off, it's already got the thing in the middle of it, so it can't be stored, but it can still be quite useful. My garlic is still continuing to grow. I think it is bulbing up under there. You can see some of the leaves are starting to die back. That's especially evident over here with this one. And with garlic, you know that it's ready once most of the leaves have died back. So once most of them look kind of like this one, then they will be ready to pull up. But you want to make sure that you leave a few green stalks on it. You don't want them to die fully back, because these green leaves represent each little layer of paper that is going to still be intact around your bulb. My one lettuce that's left, I am letting it go to seed. You can see it's starting to try. I have not ever saved lettuce seeds before, but I figure it's just as easy as waiting for the flowers to bloom, get pollinated, and make seed pods of some sort. But we'll see. I'll be showing you guys what happens in case you've never seen a lettuce go to seed. And then if we come down even farther down the row, you can see all the turnips that have gone to seed that are blocking my pathway now. They actually just got blown over in the storm, along with this beet stalk here that has been going to seed. I've pulled some of these 4 seeds already, and if these weren't currently wet right now, these would be nice and dried out. Oh, popped it open. Yeah, once these are done, they just pop right open because that's how they release their seeds in the wild. I also have a whole video on saving turnip seeds if you're interested. But yeah, if these weren't wet right now, I would go ahead and pull them in. But it's much nicer for them to dry out in the sunlight before you pull them all in, which reduces the risk of them molding. How's it going, Draco? What are you watching? Oh, you're just being cute. You know everybody loves you, right? Alright, looking down the trellis row, I've still got this ginormous kale here at the front. Oh, and I can show you guys how much rain we've gotten. What is that, like almost 1.5 inches of rain so far? And I think we're going to get a lot more tomorrow too, which is why I'm out here in the middle of everything, because I want to be able to make sure this video comes out on time. Some of the onions over here are starting to flop over. That's a sign that they're starting to get close to ready to harvest. Peas, very much ready to get pulled out. I'm just kind of waiting on these pods to dry out so I can save seeds from these. Radishes going to seed. Radishes make beautiful little flowers, very different from turnip flowers actually in color. And the pods look quite different as well. I don't see any fully formed pods over here yet, but I'll show you guys on the next row the difference in the pods. On this second trellis, I planted noodle beans. You can see they've all come up here. Last week I spotted just the very first babyest sprout coming up, and these are coming in right as the peas are about to get torn out. Peas probably could have been torn out already, but I mean, look at these gorgeous pods. The telephone pea has actually been doing the best in terms of not going yellow like the other ones yet. Been making good pods. I don't know if it's the variety or just the fact that it's here on this side of this trellis, which is shaded by this tree, and so it's not getting the worst of the heat on these sunny days that we've had up until now. Once the noodle beans need the trellis though, peas are going to have to come out, even if they're still looking pretty, because they're really not going to be producing that much longer, and giving the noodle beans the space that they have is more valuable than any residual harvest off of the peas. Alright, and next to where the turnips have been flopping over are my potatoes. You can't really tell looking at it, but this is only like, I don't know, 6 or 7 potato plants in here, maybe 8. And these have been flowering recently, which means that they are starting to get close to done already. You're supposed to wait for potatoes to flower and then die back, and then that's how you know they're ready to harvest. Around the other side of the trellises, so this is the one with the noodle beans on it, this one here at the front, on the outside I planted some cucumber seeds, and those are just now starting to come up. I only planted one seed per hole, and it looks like only 2 have come up so far. So we'll see if the rest of these come up. They are allowed to be a couple of days late, but I can always re-sow if I feel like I need more. All right, and let's look at the last row real quick before we get to the thing I'm most excited to show you. This is another row of garlic with some peppers interplanted, and these are some radish pods that I can show you that are coming up. You can see how much fatter that is than the turnip pods were. These are edible, kind of tasty. Plenty of stuff you can do with those. And garlic over here also looking like it's starting to die back. You can see a few brown leaves in here. Pretty soon I'll pull out these Brussels sprouts. They are going to seed for me, but not all of them are really pulling their weight. Like this one has like sparse pods on it, and then this one next to it is definitely putting on a lot more pods, and there's one down at the end that's putting on a lot of pods as well. So I'll probably take out the ones that aren't really producing very many and go ahead and give these peppers that are interplanted with them a little bit more space. This one is leaning over this pepper over here, so it could probably use a little more sunlight. I still got these lettuces in here that, well, this one might be starting to go to seed, but hadn't really gone to seed yet, and I think it's because they are in this row that is, again, shaded by the tree up here. Okay, so I've come out to the back of the garden. I guess you guys never get to see it from this side. But here at the back, I have some sunflowers. These 2 big ones, self-seeded, they are volunteers. And then if we walk down here, you can see some of the ones that I planted. This one is a sunflower, the rest of this is a weed, but this is a sunflower. Let's see, this is a sunflower right here. There's another one right there. There's another volunteer right there, and on down this back row. Last year I actually had a lot of sunflowers along this back row, and the idea was that they would be there to kind of act as a natural fence for deer and such, and they actually got eaten by the deer the first go around, and then they actually rebounded from that and came back. But the natural fence thing did not work out. However, I still like the idea of having the garden bordered by sunflowers because of the way the sun is coming. They're not really going to shade too many things on that side of the garden. Back when they were next to this trellis as well, they did shade a little bit, but it never really ended up being a problem because everything was growing up at the same rate, and so it wasn't ever like the sunflowers were way ahead of the tomatoes that were right next to them. Anyways, I'm rambling now. Let me get to what I'm actually most excited to show you. So back here are some straw bales that I inoculated with oyster mushrooms a few weeks ago, maybe almost 2 months ago, and I finally am starting to see some. These actually are what's left after I harvested some earlier today, and I will insert the video of me harvesting that now. This is actually my first time ever growing oyster mushrooms or any kind of mushroom, and I'm pretty thrilled that so far it seems to be going according to plan. I do eventually plan on doing some teaching videos on the mushroom stuff, but as it is my first time doing it, my first time harvesting mushrooms, I don't feel comfortable teaching you guys too much just yet, but I will, because I plan on doing this over and over for a while. Oh cool, I finally get a chance to show you guys my swale filled with a little bit of water here. You can tell this end is lower because the water only comes to about here, and the rest of this has a bit of a dry bottom. And I actually even had to build up a little bit more of a hill here because the water all comes to this side of the swale. But so far the swale seems to be working as intended, where the water that runs down this hill when it rains gets stuck here and gets to soak into the ground rather than running across the garden and washing stuff away. Oh my god, there's a little toad friend in here. Hello, baby. You're a cutie. Thanks for visiting. Oh dude, look at this thing too. There's a lot of fuzzy caterpillars out this time of year. Alrighty, so let's check in on the raised bed real quick. It seems the wind from the storm kind of blew over my cilantro. That's probably okay. It was starting to make little seeds, and it looks like it wasn't really snapped, it's just been bent. So I have a feeling that at least these little ones that have seeds already will go ahead and continue developing. I mean, some of these like this, that probably is fully developed, it just needs to dry out. And then these other plants, not bent over quite as bad, and plenty of ripe licking seeds, coriander seeds on these. So I'm not too worried about this. These plants only have like another week or two before I'm gonna cut them out anyway, because once they've made their seeds, they're no longer useful to me, and they are currently shading out a lot of the other herbs that are underneath them. Ooh, look at that. That's another mushroom. That is not one that I planted, and that looks kind of old too. But if you see mushrooms in your garden, even if you haven't planted them, it's usually a really good sign. Even though I don't know much about the actual process of growing mushrooms, I have read a lot about how mushrooms work, how they interact with plants, and it is so fascinating. They are a wonderful symbiotic companion for your garden. There's exchanges that go on between your plant roots and the mycelium underground, an exchange of nutrients. It is very cool. So if you see mushrooms in your garden, leave them be. They're a good sign of a healthy ecosystem. Alrighty, and finally a quick little update on the berry bushes. It is slow going, but it is going. The strawberry is fluffing itself out, reaching out. I will be helping bury all of these so that they become more strawberry plants, and maybe direct them that way because they all seem to be coming towards me. And I did get another raspberry bush to go right here and replace this one that died. So hopefully second time's a charm and we don't have to go on to round 3 on that. But these two raspberries are actually looking a lot better. This one, I didn't think they were growing all that fast, but this one is now starting to actually look bigger than I remember it. So maybe it'll start picking up its growth speed soon. Hello, Draco. I think it's really cute. My cats use all the little paths. Like, they'll walk down the sidewalk, they'll walk down the path in the garden instead of walking through the grass, even when it isn't wet, which I think is really cute. A neighbor walked by the other day and asked me, "Oh, are you not mowing that part of your lawn so that the pollinators have a habitat?" And I was like, "Why, yes. Thank you so much for noticing and not thinking that it's an eyesore." A lot of people, I think, in probably more clean-cut neighborhoods than mine would definitely not tolerate an unmowed yard, even a small section of yard. So I feel lucky that my neighbors not only don't care, but also understand why I'm doing what I'm doing without me even having to tell them. Although I will say, if you do live somewhere where people might get upset at you for leaving some stuff growing so that the pollinators have a habitat, you can get little signs that say, "Oh, this is a pollinator habitat," or "habitat for bees," or something friendly like that, so that people don't get all huffy about your unmowed lawn. And it doesn't have to always be unmowed. Like, for example, this crimson clover that I let go to flower, you can see it is dried up and successfully produced seeds. So at this point I don't feel bad mowing it down and making this little section look a little more clean cut. Alrighty guys, well, hopefully you have been able to hear me properly over my jacket and the wind during this tour. If not, and this is your first tour, they're definitely not all like this. The sound is usually much better. Some of you may have noticed that I recently topped 5,000 subscribers, which is incredible. I am like so blown away that there's 5,000 of you that care about what I have to say. But hopefully I'm doing a good job helping you guys out and supporting you, and if there's anything else that I can help you with, always feel free to jump in the comments and I will get to you if I can. If you haven't been in my comment section before, it is so wholesome. Aside from like the random spam that isn't even a real person, like people are just really nice. So I want to say thank you for that. The internet can be a toxic place, and I'm really happy that my comment section is not one of those places. Thanks so much for watching and supporting and commenting, and until next time, I wish you happy gardening.